この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。
Welcome to SushiBites. You're likely aware of Mobile Suit Gundam, the 1979 animated series from Japan that has spawned countless sequels, alongside video games, manga, and my favorite thing, Gunpla, or Japanese robot model kits. Gunpla is a really expensive hobby, and you probably shouldn't start because plastic crack will bankrupt you. You're also likely aware of Koei Tecmo's Dynasty Warriors franchise, which has spanned the PlayStation 1, 2, portable, and many other consoles. You may not be aware that the two franchises came together and had several crossover games, the majority of which did get released outside of Japan. But what's even more fascinating to me is the one that didn't. 2007's Dynasty Warriors Gundam, or Gundam Musou as it was known in Japan, was initially released exclusively on the PlayStation 3. We got this eventually on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. However, this game saw a special expanded port, Gundam Musou Special, for the PlayStation 2 in 2008. They backported it. They downgraded the game and dropped it onto an older system. That's kind of like releasing Super Mario Galaxy onto the Nintendo GameCube. The PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 were not fully adopted in Japan in 2008. Initial support for both consoles in Japan was practically zero, believe it or not. Hardware discounts and titles like Metal Gear Solid 4 drove PS3 sales from 2009 onwards, and the Xbox 360 was barely adopted in Japan at all outside of a niche JRPG push early on with Tengai Makio Jiraiya, Blue Dragon, and Lost Odyssey. All fantastic games, by the way, if you're into your JRPGs. Compared to the 21 million installed base of the PS2, it's unsurprising Bandai would try to recoup their losses by backporting some games here and there. 1 year on from the game's initial release, it was backported to an older console generation, which is interesting. Here's my copy. It's one of these the best re-releases with the yellow border, so it doesn't quite fetch the same prices, but it's still a little bit rare by today's standards. Not only did this HD era game see a backport to an older system, it somehow also features more content. I'm struggling to think of other examples of games getting backported to older systems and with more content. If you can think of any, share them in the comments, I'm curious. So following the earlier example, imagine that this hypothetical version of Super Mario Galaxy for GameCube added a couple of new levels and Bowser Jr. as a playable character. This is precisely what happened here. In Dynasty Warriors Gundam, a mysterious character named Musha Gundam is the main antagonist of original mode. In this mode, your chosen character works together with their former adversaries to take out Musha Gundam. In the original mode, in Gundam Musou Special, you get new campaigns that allow you to play as Musha Gundam and the new Musha Gundam Mark II. Not only is Musha Gundam available immediately at the beginning without needing to be unlocked, completing his campaign unlocks the Musha Gundam Mark II campaign, a character and suit combo that was not available in the original game. Musha Gundam, Musha Gundam, Musha Gundam, Musha Gundam. There are new voice lines as well for existing and new characters, though this is the extent of the extra content. Various places online talk about different suit variants or these elaborate new missions that supposedly rewrite the canon, but it's all hearsay, mistranslations, or simply made-up AI hallucinations regurgitating baseless forum posts by LARPing teenagers. Based on my research from Japanese sources, all of those alleged extras simply aren't true. As a result of the backporting process, the game does suffer a few downgrades, featuring fewer enemies on screen, a low frame rate, and less detailed graphics, and a forced 4:3 aspect ratio. This gives the game a more compressed feeling, kind of like running the game on an old computer with frameskip enabled. Hell, it probably looks rather fetching on an old CRT television. I don't know, it's kinda quaint, like a painting of a swan. Graceful. Here's some footage from the same mission in both games for graphical comparison. They look similar enough that you can tell they're the same game, but the graphical differences are night and day. and look at the sheer difference in screen real estate here. This version also omits the fancy animated intros for certain characters in their iconic suits. For example, this intro for Judo Ashita in the Double Zeta Gundam is completely missing in the PS2 game on account of model simplicity and limited storage space for full motion video sequences. I suppose I should make this clear for the sake of clarity. The Dynasty Warriors Gundam that we got outside of Japan had enhanced performance, plus contained an optional English dub. This was later released on the Xbox 360 in Japan as Gundam Musou International. It's kind of funny to think that the West got an enhanced version of Gundam Musou first. Then Japan got their own enhanced version of that for an older system after the fact. The achievements for Japan's Xbox 360 version are unified with what we got, so there is no stacking of gamerscore, I'm afraid. You best believe that as a gamerscore hound, that was the first thing I checked. So yeah, in Japan, Dynasty Warriors Gundam was initially released for the PS3 only, lacking the English dub, and it allegedly suffers significant slowdown. The version that we got on PS3 in the West isn't the same. It's faster and has more content than the original Japanese release, being the same basis for our Xbox 360 version and Japan's later 360 re-release. And then this version was backported to the PS2 as Gundam Musou Special. Would I recommend playing Special? It was at the very least fascinating to explore the game's differences due to hardware limitations, and to play through the new, unique scenarios for Musou Gundam and Musou Gundam Mark II. Gundam fans and Musou fans might get a few hours of intrigue from it, but otherwise Gundam Musou Special can be easily skipped. If you were in Japan when this game came out and hadn't yet adopted the next generation of consoles, I'm sure this was a cromulent way to play through the game, but for us in the West, it would have been less interesting. It would have been nice to see this game get released outside of Japan as a budget title, but Bandai Namco had all but moved on from late PS2 releases in the West, choosing only to release later Naruto titles like Ultimate Ninja 4 and Uzumaki Chronicles 2 in 2008, and Ultimate Ninja 5 in 2009, but in PAL territories only. I'd like to see a fan translation patch or even an MTL for the game down the line, since it's a solid Musou title in its own right and deserves a spot on any retro enthusiast's open PlayStation loader list, even if only for a few hours of checking out its differences. If you want to see more Dynasty Warriors Gundam, you can check out the full live-streamed playthrough with Ant Keeps Gaming in 2025, or SushiBites episode 126, Dynasty Warriors Gundam 3, or stay tuned for Dynasty Warriors Gundam 2 live streams and possibly more in the future. Also, most Wednesdays, Warriors Wednesday streams. If you enjoyed this video, please take a moment to check that you're subscribed, make sure you click the like button, and if you're feeling extra handsome today, head over to EscapeRouteBritish.com to learn the myriad ways you can support the channel. Until next time, if we live that long.